Hey guys, and welcome to a scrap between two DAWI legends. On the left hand side, representing RTK, we have Eumenes, and he shall be betraying his DAWI kind and falling to the dark side, and that is going to be the forces of the High Elves up against Grombriddle, who has stayed true to his DAWI ways, bringing the forces of the Dwarfs. These guys, old school friends, old school rivals, going to be a good fun scrap. The War of Vengeance, or the War of the Beard, whatever you want to call it, round 2. And you can see the High Elves are doing some really lovely tactics here as we kick this battle off. They're deployed very far back just to ensure they don't take any nasty cannonball shots, any organ gun shots, anything super nasty initially straight from the battle. They can assess the Dwarfs and figure out how best to pick them apart. And boy oh boy, is this a build designed to pick apart the DAWI. We have a bucket ton of archers dotted all the way along. I really do like this formation quite a bit, just kind of hiding at the back of a little C formation, so you can pop forward to slowly surround your opponent if need be. We do have rangers in the back with white lines as well, looking to support the front line where possible. Rangers are here to kill Slayers for the most part, but again, they can be rather swift of foot, get into the enemy back line and carve their way through Thunderers and Quarrelers, but the White Lines are here to bring the pain to that main DAWI infantry with those mighty heavy war axes. We do have one line chariot, only the one on the left-hand side. Chariots in general are very abusive against the Dwarf, so it's always good to see some of the lines brought to the battlefield. They also have very cool models and designs, so let's give them a little neck scratch just to let them know they are very cool. We do have an Archmage High Magic in the sky, kind of Tempest, in case there was a load of gyrocopters or anything on that along those lines. We have Apotheosis and Soul Quench as well. Apotheosis, of course, for healing up those chariots. Soul Quench for assassinating targets and war engines. Then we have some Shadow Warriors. We have two on the left-hand side and one over in the distance. A nice build, certainly going to be kiting back the Dwarfs as much as possible. For the forces of the DAWI themselves, we have Longbeards with great weapons dotted all the way along. Now, this is kind of a gift and a curse. Great weapons are so powerful now. Mix them with the Rune of Doom, they can really punch way above their weight in gold, but going up against the High Elves, it can be risky because you are losing those shields to absorb the enemy archer pressure. We have the Norgolins Ironbreakers. They certainly will not struggle absorbing pressure. 125 armor is quite frankly ridiculous, and I love it. We have more Ironbreakers in the center as well, so triple Ironbreakers, as well as 1, 2, 3 units of Thunderers to try to whittle down any enemy annoying chariots. We have Thoric Ironbrow leading the army here today, looking absolutely swaggerlicious here on his mighty anvil, coming in with the Rune of Slowness, Rune of Speed, Rune of Doom, as well as Thoric's Rune Armor. All round looks an absolute boss. I'm excited to hop into this one and see how it does perform. Shadow Warriors are going to start floating out to the flanks, and there is basically nothing which can touch them. We do have the 3 Thunderers for the Dwarfs to try to counter skirmish where possible, but they're really going to have to absorb the enemy missile pressure. Now, often I do get asked this question quite a bit with the Dwarfs. Do you push, or do you sit back when you are against such an army like this with so many archers? And the question is, if you know how to push, you should definitely push. Apply that pressure to your opponent, try to make them make mistakes rather than giving them infinite time to set up and take away your units. Thunderers do turn to engage with the Shadow Warriors, who rather wisely fall back so they are now hidden, and then they can pop in once more to unleash a deadly salvo. And they are really trying to pick apart the Thunderers. You can see Eumenes certainly knows his art of war. Take away the enemy range, and therefore he will dominate the battlefield, which is obviously what he wants to do. Shadow Warriors are floating up and around this side. It looks like some big damage has gone down on the Ironbreakers. A Soul Quench from the Archmage, no doubt, up to 31 kills and getting these guys down to about half HP off the rip. That is some very powerful stuff. Archers are going to be moving up now, looking to rain shots from afar, and of course they will be able to kite back to this defensive infantry line if need be, who are kind of, at the moment, retreating back towards the corner. Shadow Warriors, their main goal is to kill these Thunderers, and they are doing just that, raining down shots from the flank now, circumventing those bronze shields, and in the front, the Longbeards are being focus fired down. I love to see this, get all the archers and take down one unit, force it off and break it, and then, you know, you can use the chariots or the Archmage to finish them off for good. So Longbeards, unfortunately, are going to be grumbling once more as they take huge amounts of damage there. Shadow Warriors in the back are doing a good job just harassing and annoying the Thunderers. It looks like some archers are going to be whipping around as well to help assist them if possible. More archers absorbing, or not absorbing damage, but starting to give out damage actually on this right-hand side. It is the poor Longbeards who are having to do all the absorbing work. Another lovely Soul Quench comes down by the Archmage High Magic, doing some really nice damage. Look at the Ironbreakers. 41 models left already. That is some really nice damage and good targeting. Thunderers are actually going to whirl around and try to counter-shoot back. They, I don't think, have killed a single elf yet. No, they've killed a couple of elves, but really not many whatsoever. A few more do join the dead, though, as those Thunderers start to unleash hell. Archers are now focusing on the flanks of the Longbeards, doing some pretty decent work to them. Of course, they don't have bronze shields, but hey, shooting down that flank, you really can do some nice damage and get some 2-for-1 kills. Longbeards on the left, once again, are being peppered down by the Archers and the High Elves. Not interested whatsoever in an infantry fight, but they will eventually be cornered. You can see Grombrindal is now rotating his force around, looking to ensnare the double white lines and Rangers who are desperately trying to flee, but they really don't have that much kind of wiggle room at the moment. They've been forced rather nicely into the corner. Likewise, have these Archers, so the push is starting to pay dividends a little bit. Archers, though, doing some really good damage. You can see a massive surround has now enveloped the DAWI formation. Thunderers, up to 3 kills, at least they're counter-shooting a bit, but unfortunately for them, they are going to be seeing their ancestors in the afterlife. Archmage even getting a little bit bold, going to drive forward and maybe jump down and swoop upon the Thunderers and send them to their doom. We do have Longbeards with weapons and Noggle and Ironbreakers now absorbing a lot of damage and pushing through. It looks like the Rangers are able to escape. Can the White Lines, if the Dwarfs push really aggressively at this angle? I don't think they can, but the Dwarf forces, which are actually going to meet the White Lines, are rather beleaguered and beaten up, so they certainly need the support here of the Longbeards and Ironbreakers in that secondary battle formation. Longbeards are giving pursuit now to the Archers who are running away uphill there, and Thoric is going to fall back, looking to buff up his own troops. Longbeards will be getting a rune of speed popped on them, increasing that melee attack and speed, which is quite nice. Blasting charges come in, do some good damage to the White Lines. Now, rather wisely, the White Lines are going to retreat. They do not want to fight a buffed up Longbeards. They are going to be taking quite a few blasting charges to the back of the dome. Not something any squishy elf unit would enjoy whatsoever. Archers, though, just being complete free reign. Every single range unit on the high elf roster is going to use up all its ammunition, and there's nothing the Dwarves can do about it. That is some pretty scary stuff. The Archers are once again fleeing, but into the little box of the corner. I don't think they're going to be saved here. White Lines are rotating around, looking to try to save the Archers if possible, but there's even more Longbeards and Ironbreakers on the approach. Archers are continuing to pour in fire, focusing down key targets like the Great Weapons, as well as the Thunderers, again trying to force away the enemy advantage of range or any potential anti-skirmishing. Thoric Ironbrow is moving up though, trying to support his bros where possible, coming over here to help the Longbeards, who are about to receive a rather juicy sandwich, the White Line sandwich. They get clattered into by both sides. White Lines are actually going to attempt to skirmish this and flee, maybe even push into the back onto the Thunderers, but there's more Longbeards coming in. I don't think there's much escape for these White Lines, but they are going to be trying their little hardest, and it is actually buying time for the Archers to unleash another salvo of arrows into the rear of their pursuers, and in comes the true sandwich, a four-way sandwich here with 3 Longbeards and the White Lines. Yeah, bye-bye White Lines. They're going to get some okay damage in the initial engagement, but when the Longbeards do manage to get into their rear, they really are going to be sandwiched and slaughtered. Look at the arrows that are blotting out the skies. They rain shots down on the Thunderers, who turn their backs to the Elvish Archers. You're not even worth our time. They turned around to try to dish out some pain. Rangers are engaging in combat right now, as are the White Lines. Archers starting to run out of ammunition. Shadow Warriors have actually used up all their ammo, which isn't good news whatsoever. Archmage does miscast because of Thoric Ironbrow's nearby presence. Lion Chariots receive an apotheosis as they do fall back here away from the pesky axes of those Longbeards. Rangers do charge into combat. Shadow Warriors as well, who aren't terrible in melee themselves whatsoever. Noggle and Ironbreakers still do have some punch in them, despite the massive damage they took earlier on. Those blasting charges reaping havoc amongst the Shadow Warriors. Rune of Doom has indeed gone down, buffing up Longbeards across the board, and Ironbreakers are starting to slaughter the White Lions. Is there enough ammo to drag down these Dwarfs? The balance of power certainly says so. They are on the advantage at the moment, and really good play here by the High Elves, using the Lion Chariots to force off Thunderers and probably come over here and save these Archers as well. They were in a really sticky situation, but due to some good movement, good targeting and good distraction, the High Elves may well be able to save them. Archers both have, what, 1 ammunition left. They're going to be pitiful in combat, really not contributing much whatsoever, but hey, bodies are bodies at the end of the day, and we can already see some Shadow Warriors kind of getting bullied right now by the Norglins. Ironbreakers, despite their early damage, they are starting to dish it back now as well, up to 12 kills, and once more into the battle they go. And this is such a beautiful game when you actually zoom into it. Oh my god, fiery arcane magic from the skies. Does some okay damage to the Ironbreakers, but this time it wasn't lined up quite so well, so it didn't go all the way down the line, and those blasting charges are reaping a bloody toll now on the White Lines. Thoric Ironbrow is still full health, which could be a bit of a problem. Shadow Warriors are forced back, both units in fact. The Archers continue to rain down shots. White Lines taking a bit of a breather over on the flank, likewise are the Rangers. They're huffing and puffing, trying to find the resolve to get it back in here one more time. Archmage does charge in with the line chariot, swarming over the Ironbreakers. Now, Ironbreakers actually have really fantastic mass. So with a Mastering of Slowness, maybe you can slow down the chariots, but they've already kind of fled through. And line chariots have some of the best mass in the entire game, so they don't get pinned in very easily. And just as I say that, they get pinned in by Longbeards with great weapons there. That Apotheosis is mitigating the majority of the damage at the moment. There are white lions here for support as well. Fork Ironbarrow up to 25 kills is me moving over, looking to try to smite some chariots who are very slow right now. They're not getting too far, but unfortunately for the Dwarfs, they didn't seem to take that much damage either. And now Rangers and Archers have moved in to help support, and the Dwarf army is starting to crumble. Oaths have been sworn, but DAWI are breaking said oaths, with many Dwarfs shattering and running to try to save their own skins, rather than fight side by side with the legends of old like Fork Ironbarrow. Archers are completely spent right now. We've got 9 ammo on that unit, and I think that's it for ammo. Yeah, these archers have just done their last salvo. They're going to have to get in there and do it the old-fashioned way. We still have 42 white lions, which are going to be quite tasty, as well as 55 here, and the line chariots. That cycle charging going to be very crucial. Ironbreakers are holding the line, though, whereas the lesser dwarves have faltered. The Ironbreakers still stand firm, including the Regiment Renown, who's taken an absolute beating so far. And once again, those line chariots pulling out and then swooping back in to slam into the dwarvish ranks. But as we spoke about, Ironbreakers are a sturdy shield wall, driving back those chariots from whence they came, although the chariots are doing pretty good work right now. 52 kills, damage value-wise 720, and they're basically still full health. You can see the Great Weapon Longbeards do unfortunately fall back. Rune of Speed has gone down, buffing the Ironbreakers melee attack to 59, which is going to now enable them to carve through the Elvish formation like a DAWI hot axe for a smelly gobbo's head. The Archmage is doing okay. Arcane Conduit has been popped up in the sky, up to 82 kills. 1 or 2 more Soul Quenchers down the line could be pretty crucial, particularly on this unit of 60 Ironbreakers, who are just holding back wave after wave at the moment of Elvish pressure, and those white lines aren't being able to break through, which is a big loss right now. Archers are starting to move around to the flanks, looking to try to surround the Dwarf formation, which of course isn't a bad idea whatsoever. Archmage may want to start swooping in. It is a little bit risky. If she does get trapped, it could be the end of her. And so it looks like she's going to float out to the flanks and try to finish off some units on the periphery with those big heavy charges and that fear debuff to the enemy, which again is probably a smart idea. Line chariots are just vibing at the moment, floating around. I'm not sure what they're doing. They're just trying to get a better engagement so they can avoid Fork. Not a bad idea whatsoever. Ironbreakers take quite a pounding, and the line chariots simply pull through them rather happily. The poor Regiment around at Norglands here, 73 kills isn't shabby considering the losses they've taken, but they are starting to waver here as the Elves are really getting super furious now, digging their heels in and deciding to go toe-to-toe in melee in an absolute grind. But the Dwarfs are the masters of the grind matchups and all the grindy games in general. And Fork is still very healthy, swoops in, you shall not flee, not today with me lads, and he crushes one of the couple of units, in fact, of the Elves who start falling back in all different directions. Archmage does land and Fork simply swats her away like a fly on his shoulders. Are the Dwarves going to be able to hold on here? The Ironbreakers do eventually break. They are down to 18 models. We'll be back, lads. We just need to go grab our Slayer axes and dye our hair. Ironbreakers are holding. I mean, 43 models isn't shabby whatsoever, but there's still 3 line chariots plus the Archmage. It is looking very bleak here for the Sons of the DAWI. Archers, 1 volley of ammo left, and there's a few units who can come back on the periphery for the High Elves, but so many of their units are really starting to struggle. But likewise, the second to last unit of Ironbreakers does eventually break, and this is a big problem for the DAWI right now. Their lack of mobility and kind of battle control is just enabling these chariots, the Archmage, to simply cycle charge their units to the death and drive them away. Despite that, they still held for a very long time. They are currently very outnumbered. 315 Elves remain, only 72 DAWI. I'm sure the Dwarfs will tell you that's good odds for any DAWI, but in reality, it's not looking good whatsoever. Ironbreakers receive a frontal charge from the chariots, a rear charge from the Archmage, and Fork stands alone. There is no way these Dwarf units are going to be coming back. I mean, the Ironbreakers have rallied, but they're not going to get anywhere near the battle. Line chariots will simply swoop out there with the help of the Archmage, and down she comes, descending upon them and shattering them for good. There is 25 Ironbreakers in the distance. Archers are trying to close the gap, but it looks like they weren't quick enough, unfortunately. The Archmage and chariots probably just want to float out over there and finish them off. Fork Ironbarrow is going to be a big old 4 note in the health side. His morale did take a big hit there, down to about 50%, and the Archmage and chariots are probably just going to be able to cycle it, charge him to death, which is a bit of a shame, but The Ironbreaker's being chased off by archers, a rather... not disrespectful, but dishonourable death, I would say, for the Ironbreaker's being killed by some archers in melee. Oh, that is pretty bad. Now, if Thoric Ironbrow had the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, he could well be with a good fight here, because he would kill the majority of the really weakened infantry, and then it'd be a fight between him, the Lion Chariots, and the Archmage. But despite that, that's going to be pretty hard as well. Rune of Doom does go down, buffing his stats for a limited time then. He's doing a really good job. Look at all these elves fearing for their lives up against the might of Thoric, and he's actually going to turn and ready to countercharge the chariots when they come in, which is good play there by Grombrindle. Archmage is taking a little bit of a pounding now, down to 1,353 HP, and we're going to get yet another buff go down. It is the Rune of Speed, buffing up the stats of Thoric, 69 melee attack, sending those chariots packing, and the Elvish infantry is actually starting to struggle. Balance power, though, of course, is still with the Elves, as to be expected. I mean, it's just Thoric on his own. Ironbreakers will be shattering it relatively soon. Lion Chariots swoop in one more time to clatter into the Ironbrow. Archmage is trying a little hard out. Armor Stars have been popped. Arcane Conduit as well. She needs to be careful, though. Fall back way out of range of Thoric and pop Apotheosis on yourself, because otherwise you will miscast, and right now that could be enough to drive her from the battlefield. Lion Chariots still have all three models. They've been absolute menaces in the night to the DAWI. 111 kills on them, not bad whatsoever. The archers are in combat, and they're just not able to graze Thoric. I mean, 50 melee defense is really no joke, particularly when combined with 135 armor. He's just not going down. The Lion Chariots are going to be the main bet here to try to finish him off. Archmage comes in with a hit with a Rune of Slowness down to 280 HP and actually breaks and runs. Lion Chariots, though, still going strong with 3 models. Archers are wavering. They're seeing their lord abandon them and flee for their lives, and it looks like the Elvish forces are starting to lose a little bit of heart. Archers running for their lives. We still do have 26 Rangers in here. A few of these bad boys are Shadow Warriors as well, relatively decent melee combatants, and Thoric Ironbrow's morale is getting danger low. If the chariots were charging in at that moment, as well as the Archmage, particularly because of the fear, he probably would have broken, but he just about clings onto life right now. Rune of Doom does go down, buffing his melee attack. He's cycling those Rune of Doom and the Rune of Speed, ensuring he always has a load of melee attack to clear through the troops, and somehow Thoric Ironbrow is clinging on. Look at the Elves, they're struggling. Lion Chariots, though, once again swoop back in to the carnage, and they're realistically the ones here who are doing the damage. Shadow Warriors and Archers aren't going to do too much in combat to Thoric, so the Chariots need to keep cycle charging whilst they have this chaff support. One chariot unfortunately does go down. You can see Thoric is really targeting the Lion Chariots at every single opportunity. An upgraded Master Rune of Speed does go down. Increasing that speed by 45% is quite good. The Elves are going to fall back in all different directions and just push forward with this unit of archers to try to engage in combat. And it looks like the Archmage did actually break and run for her life. So we have some beat-up archers and double Lion Chariots. Rune of Speed is still popped due to the fact it was overcast there, giving him extended effect duration. Archers won't do much, but again, the Lion Chariots charge in. 1,655 HP is all that remains on Thoric. Balance power still says in his high favour, but only just, in fact, come into the middle there as Thoric gets another big hit with his hammer onto those Lion Chariots who go up the hill and start swooping back down. And Thoric absorbs that damage, takes it a little bit down to 1,500 HP at the moment. Some archers are indeed going to start to charge him in the rear. Do we have any other units, any white lions, any rangers? No, it is just archers and the Lion Chariots who can try to win the day here. Balance of power is still certainly just about in favour of the Elves, but it is very close. Thoric Ironbrow's morale is certainly not at its greatest right now. Archers are charging in. They've done pretty decent all battle, of course. If you use up all your ammunition, you've probably done rather well as a ranged unit. But the Lion Chariots are now, they need them. They need the archers to hold the line. But a well-timed Rune of Slowness goes in. That is going to slow the escape of the Lion Chariots. The archers don't have enough mass to pin in Thoric, and it is enabling him to gain 1 or 2 more hits. But they manage to escape and fall back. Rune of Doom has been popped, but yeah, okay, I'm not going to be attacking chariots. Extra melee attack and fear, that's really going to help at driving away these archers from the battlefield. 1 unit breaks, and I don't think the other one's going to be too far behind. Lion Chariots are trying to wait out the Rune of Slowness. I don't know if they have this luxury, though. They need to be getting in here and helping out their archers, because otherwise these bad boys will indeed break. Maybe he's hoping the others will come back to aid these guys. Yeah, morale-wise is not looking too shabby, so hopefully they will return. Lion Chariots do crash into the enemy. doing some decent damage once again. Thoric is down to 1,240, but my god, Thoric Ironbrow is so tanky. He's like the DAWI version of Sigvald. Does less damage output in melee, but has the rune buff. He is really powerful lord all round. I know a lot of people have been, even in my recent videos, are like, DAWI are really OP or Thoric's really OP. DAWI certainly aren't OP. They're a very good faction. I think they've got a lot better since the latest changes, but they're definitely not OP. They have some glaring weaknesses as well. But Thoric Ironbrow is incredibly powerful. A very good lord for any faction. He would be a good lord, but for the dwarves, he works so super well. Archers are wavering, not having a good time. It looks like the Lion Chats are just vibing at the moment on the flanks. Not sure why they're doing this. Oh, maybe waiting for the Rangers to come into support and go for like a final kill when he's just engaging with these archers to fulfill the attacking role. Thoric Ironbrow down to 1,000 HP, but he's feeling pretty cocky and confident right now. That is not his blood. That is the blood of the Elves on him. 1 versus 77 right now. Well, technically it should be 5 because, of course, don't forget these lads down below. They're the ones doing the heavy lifting. And he's moving directly for that line chariot, trying to finish it off. But it is, unfortunately, a dwarf at the end of the day and not going to be able to catch such a majestic beast as the war line. So he's instead going to turn to fight the archers. Master Rune of Speed does go down, buffing up his melee attack and speed for that extended duration. And the archers are exploding right now. Big old puffs of blood do remain in the dirt. Rangers are really moving forward, and this is when the Lions decide, you know what, now is the last time to strike. We've waited for these Rangers to turn up, but so has Thoric. He's waited to cast his Rune of Doom, increases melee attack to 93, which is absolutely insane, exploding yet another Lion Chariot. Rangers are starting to waver, and the balance of power for the first time in an age has moved heavily in favour of the DAWI and the mighty Thoric Ironbrow, who's going to countercharge the Lion Chariot. Meet me man to man on the battlefield, I dare ya. I'll slay any Elgi. Although the Lion Chariots do whip at those poor little troops at the bottom. The Lion Chariot goes down, and it is a valiant defeat for the forces of the High Elves. An absolutely insane game. Well played to Unis, as well as Grombrindle, aka Grombrindle White Cat. That was a wild one. That was a really good fun. That was just the game I needed. I streamed earlier today my reaction to the new trailer that's come out, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so hyped for Warhammer. Let's hop in here and see if Warhammer 2 game can still stroke my heart and make it nice and fiery. And boy oh boy, that was a scrap. That was an insane game. I felt like it went on for a really long time, so I don't know how long this video is going to be, but well played to both these champs. That was certainly some wild stuff. And yeah, awesome work by the DAWI there, avenging many a grudge against Lion Chariot and Elf alike. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. We're going to check out the damage value and damage delta for all of these units in just a second. But before we get to that, if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, of course, to the channel for more glorious stuff going forward. And comment down below, what do you think of Thoric Ironbrow? Do you think he's OP? Do you think he's just a really good, solid lord? Whereas I personally don't think he's, like, overpowered. I think he's very, very powerful. But I don't think he's like a broken or anything like that. And yeah, you're going to see him 9 times out of 10 with Dwarfs now, but they kind of needed a good Legendary Lord. The others don't work particularly well, unfortunately, at least at the moment, in my humble duck opinion. But yeah, let me know down below what you thought of that and what you thought of the battle. There are links in the description, and this is how I know not everyone watches all the video, which is, I obviously don't blame you for, but I get a lot of emails and so forth, and messages on Discord, like saying, hey, how do I submit a replay? You do that by joining my Discord. I say at the end of every video. There's a link down below in the description. Also a link to my Patreon, so definitely go check those out. But anyway, on to the glorious stuff. And yeah, this was a wild one. I actually quite like this build from Unis. Not super on meta, not super off meta either, just looking to skirmish and use up all the bowfire. These archers must have got some insane value, certainly. Well, 768 on this unit of Shadow Warriors, the other 700, and then 531, so perhaps not. They were targeting down Thunderers, trying to take them out of the game as much as possible, and they used up all their ammo and were engaged in combat for a very long time. As for the basic archers, who again are relatively cheap, 648, 802, 563, 684, and 603 damage value. Pretty solid across the board, not quite as much as I was expecting, however. White Lions, 820 damage value, 264, 161, and 365. Rangers also being outclassed, so one unit got okay damage value of 500, the other really struggling down at the bottom. White Lions were used pretty effectively, 111 kills. They are the bane of many a DAWI player. 1,787 damage value. Really good micro of them, but I was very impressed with Eumenes' play with the Archmage of High Magic. 107 kills, over 2,000 damage value, and trying their best to snipe out the Regiment of Renown Ironbreakers. But alas, it was not enough, and despite the fact they got abused so much early on, 2 magic missiles down the flank, the Ironbreakers, the Regiment of Renown, still got 1,282 damage value. Really lovely work by them. Forik Ironbrow, love him or hate him, he did an amazing job here. 160 kills, over 15k damage dealt, and 3,723 damage value. Beautiful play there by him. 670 on this unit of Longbeards. The other ones 350, 727, 687, and 39 damage value. So performing okay. Of course, you can see the ones which got assassinated early on by those pesky archers. Ironbreakers, 148 kills, 134, 1.4k and nearly 6k actually on these 2 units. Ironbreakers were real MVPs here today. Thunderers unfortunately kind of got dumpstered, which was simply due to the fact they were well and truly outranged and outclassed in the end by the sheer weight of numbers on the Elvish archery side. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this one. It was a really good fun one to cast. If you got to this point in the video, you were absolutely awesome and a legend. And until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.